Top of the top, top of the top. Welcome to Change the Pace Podcast, Episode 2. On this episode of the Change the Pace Podcast, we'll be talking about the first track meet of the inaugural season for the CTFL. Hey! How's it going, Quinn? How's your day going, man?
It's going pretty well. Just had Montreal, so super excited to be back.
Yeah, you seem excited. You don't seem too stressed out. How's it like, running a track meet? How'd you feel about it?
It went pretty well. I don't, I guess, necessarily run the track meets itself. I actually partner with local track clubs that are already running their meets, and then I partner with them to bring more attention to their local meet. So it's not like I need to run it, but I do need to record everything because we are pretty low budget. So I am there recording everything, handing out singlets, kind of doing like a team manager type job while I'm at those meets. So, but overall, like the meet went really, really well. Little hiccups along the way, but overall pretty good.
Wow, that's dope. So not only are you creating something new for Canada, the Canadian Track and Field League, the CTFL, but currently you're actually bringing more awareness, more attention to some of the meets that are already going on, bringing the athletes to those meets already. That's dope. And after our last episode, I was actually sitting back, just thinking to myself, I had a really proud moment for the sport, for what you're doing, for what I see a lot of the other clubs doing out there, the new track meets coming and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, this must actually be like this would be like a dream job to be able to create something like this and push the sport of track and field further. So would you say that's how you feel? Is creating the CTFL a dream job for you?
Yeah, like I guess we kind of talked a little bit about it like last podcast, but definitely it was a dream of mine to kind of run a sports organization when I was really, really little. Never really wanted to be the pro athlete. I actually kind of wanted to be the guy who was controlling it all. So this is, a dream job for me. So I'm really excited to kind of continue this, and hopefully we can continue this for like decades. We need to grow now, but it's good to see the progress that already we're kind of making with the CTFL.
Right. True. One mindset that I always have with building athletics, from nothing literally, is if you never quit, it'll never fail.
Yeah.
I said this before too. Every year we have new athletes joining the sport. We have athletes looking for new coaches, new teams, new sponsorships, more track meets, closer track meets. They want to travel to a track meet, whatever it is. Every year we have new things like that. So if you never quit, this league will continue on. There will be new athletes. There will be new sponsors wanting to partner up. There will be more track meets that need awareness. So if you never quit, it will never fail. But now that the CTFL is actually, kicked off, it's off and running. You just had the first meet, the Montreal prelim, this weekend, May 21st. And just judging from the content that I've seen, I saw people posting uniforms. I saw recaps of the races. I saw reels on Instagram, So I know many of the Bears athletes were able to suit up for the first time. And it seemed to be like a crazy meet. I heard there was a tornado warning. I've never been in a tornado, so I gotta hear more about that. But I know there was malfunctionings about the gun, and even for me, that kind of throws me off in the race. So it sounds like it was a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about. Walk me through the meet. What was going on at the first CTFL meet?
Yeah, so I guess I can start out. So we left decently early, like early in the morning. I'm from Ottawa, so it's about a 2-hour drive from Montreal. So we left the same day, got back the same night. So drove to Montreal with all our video equipment. Had a couple of the athletes actually in the back of the car because we were driving them there as well.
Right.
And so that was kind of the start of the day. And then we get there. We kind of see like the facility a little bit. It's a pretty nice track. Like I wouldn't say like it's world class or anything like that, but it's definitely it's a pretty nice one, a nice surface. I've never been there personally myself, so we were just trying to figure out the video angles. So the video angles weren't obviously the best. There wasn't any stands, at least on the home stretch. So it's not like I was gonna go record anything on the backstretch because half 200 100 kind of thing
Right.
they won't be there. So yeah, that was kind of how the day started, and then as the meets began to run, we started off with the long jump. One of the athletes, Makisha Walker, she actually ended up winning the whole thing, and so that was really good. Yeah. So
Oh,
she's a Bears athlete, so she jumped 5.53 meters. So
okay.
that was pretty good. I think she's so she hopped into second place in the standings for her event. After that, but yeah, it was quite good to see like the long jumpers. We had two of them jumping that day. It was a relatively small meet in terms of the CTFL and in general, but like there was only about like 10 to 12 athletes, I think, during the day. So it wasn't a massive meet. We have 128 athletes that are all
But
part of it.
10 to 12 on, they were all on the Bears, or was it different
I
teams out?
think there was only one other person. There was one person on the Spitfires in the 400.
Oh, dang. It was
Yeah,
mostly the Bears
yeah,
and
it
the
was
one
all there.
Spitfire.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah, I don't know what it was. Maybe all the Bears, they're all like Quebec like athletes, but like they showed up and it was really like fun to see. Like, and that kind of happened throughout the day where the Bears athletes just kind of came and picked up their singlets, started like they wore them basically the entire day. Like I didn't really expect them to wear them like the entire day. They're tank tops, and it was like
Right.
decently cold, and we'll kind of get to that. But like, they were wearing them the entire day proudly and like
Right. Yeah,
meeting each
it
other.
was a tornado warning. So wait a minute, but that shows, we already see that the Bears have a lot of pride in their team. So they're out there representing, and it's a tornado warning. What the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah. So first there was like gun malfunctions for the 400. They had to like move heats back, and then right after, and then I think during the actual 400, you can hear it in the video how windy it's getting because the 400 it was like I think on the back straight they were saying it was like 5+ like
Oh
winds
my
basically. So like
God. 400.
completely yeah, completely wind illegal. But could you imagine like the poor 400-meter runners? It was before the tornado warning happened. There was gun malfunctions. There was a 5.0 wind, like on the back straight, like headed like you're going right into the wind. As soon as you cut out that corner, you're headed
Oh
right
my
into the wind.
God.
So it was brutal for the 400-meter runners. I feel bad for them because obviously you're not going to produce fast times with just like the wind gusting
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
And then yeah, I think we had two guys for the 400 that were running, and they had
You said
decent
one
time.
Spitfire.
Yeah, one for the Spitfires, one for the Bears. One of the 400-meter guys. He's actually so Cedric Filippo. He's actually an 800-meter guy, but there wasn't the 800 offered at this meet, so he decided to do the 400. Yeah, so he like I remember he came in. It was kind of funny. He ran into like basically the meet itself with like maybe like 5 minutes to go before like the gun went off. So like he was lucky because they had to like move heats because of the gun malfunction. So he actually got a little bit more time to warm up. But I remember him like texting me and he's like, "Hey man, like I need you to get my singlet ready because I'm gonna be running onto the track, grabbing it, putting it on, and keep going to the line." I'm like, "Okay, buddy, no problem." But yeah, and then kind of getting to the tornado warning, it started to downpour. I got messages back from I'm from Ottawa, so it's like further west from Montreal, and I got messages from Ottawa saying like like be really careful because there was trees and stuff in my neighborhood falling down, and like it was insane.
So it was a tornado warning, gun malfunction. There was fallen trees in the way. What is it like? What is it like to be in a tornado at a track meet? Like,
Well, it was a tornado warning. We never actually saw any
oh,
tornadoes,
okay,
thank God.
okay, so,
But like they had to stop because there was like thunder, lightning, tornado warnings kind of thing popping off during the 400 meters. So you might actually hear it. I forget if you hear it in the video, but you can hear in Canada, we have like this like really loud kind of like sound
warning.
that pops up. It's from our phones. And like everybody gets like a tornado warning through their phones and like really, really loud. So
Yeah,
it may actually be in the video because you might be able to hear the
here.
tornado warnings happening as basically the meet is going on. But like it like poured rain. I had to get all the video equipment like inside the
Oh,
building. It was intense. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and then the falling trees. Like I guess I can get back to that later. But like it was an intense it was an intense couple minutes.
Yeah, that sounds like an intense track meet itself. But after that meet, what team is now in the standing? What team
Yeah,
is now?
so like the Spitfires were in the lead going into Montreal, and then because we have extra bonus points for all the athletes who actually attend the Montreal prelims, so
Right.
who attend any CTFL prelims. So it's now the Bears, which is great because they showed up and they were like
Showed
basically
showed out.
they're basically the only team that showed up. Like the Huskies and Arctics were nowhere to be found the entire weekend. And then there's one
Man.
lonely Spitfires guy, and he came to his event and then dipped because there's no one from his team.
Yeah.
So it was really really nice to see that. The Bears kind of like becoming an actual team so quickly as well. But yeah, the Bears are now in the lead. I think so. They have 27,566 points, and the Spitfires have 25,648. So Bears have
Wow.
27K, and the Spitfires have 25. So they're almost a 2K point lead now in the standings for the Bears. So
Man, okay, Bears taking over. They really taking over out
yeah,
here.
yeah.
But did you have a chance to speak to any of the Bears? Do you know how they feel about being on the team? How they feel about being in the CTFL?
Yeah, so I was actually able to talk. So, kind of throughout the day, especially at the end of the night, there was a lot of Bears athletes that kind of stayed and watched their teammates compete. So it was really nice and they all kind of gathered around like me because they dropped their bags and stuff. It really was like a team mom kind of thing for the day. Like all the kids drop off their bags right where I am, and it's funny because like some of them are older than I am, but like they jump off their bags, they go into their event, they come back, they talk to me as I'm
Yeah.
recording, and then also just like talking with their teammates and cheering on their teammates. So they had a blast. The last event of the night was the 400-meter hurdles, and so Joshua Adhamar he flew all the way from BC to come to Montreal to compete with the CTFL. So that's a pretty far, that's like basically, BC is like San Francisco or it's like San Francisco to like Florida. Think about it that way.
Dang.
So like he came all the way over here to compete, ran a huge PB, which was nice. He dipped into like the 52s. He ran 52.66 in the 400-meter hurdles, but like everybody
Woo.
was hyping him up, jumping around, like super excited. He just dominated. Like I think the next guy was like 57, 58. Again, it's pretty windy that day, but like it was windy, and like the dude ran 52.66, which was quite impressive. But yeah, it was a great atmosphere to kind of like participate in and like be a part of. And like I talked, like talking with like Joshua, like he was very excited to be part of like a team again because he's 2 years removed from university. So it was a lot of fun for him to kind of now be a part of a team again, right? Like, and this time you're not going to get kicked out because of eligibility. So
Right. Dang, that's true. That's true. What do you think people are, or what are you noticing people are saying online? Like what's their favorite teams? How are they feeling about the league?
Well, I think the Bears are the favorite team right now, just because that's the one that we have like all the recordings of and all the photos of, and like they're the ones that are getting all the social media attention, and they're winning
Right.
now. So like everything's looking up for the Bears.
There.
So definitely, I'm thinking the Bears. They also have Sarah Mitten, who is like she's a shot putter. She's an Olympic shot putter. She's a utility athlete, but she's like been posting quite often, and like she always tags us, and it's always like we always like repost her and stuff. So like
Yeah,
she's there.
she's a beat.
Yeah,
She's a
exactly.
beat.
She's like yeah, she's almost like their leader. So like right now, like she's been doing really really well. She just set a Canadian record. So Bears, everything's looking up for them. The other teams need to catch up.
Yeah. Get your squad together. Come with your A game.
Yeah.
That's dope. I do notice the CTFL brand itself growing. I do notice the team's growing. What is your plan for this season? What are your goals?
Yeah, I guess to hopefully we can grow our social media page because that's kind of like the top of the funnel in terms of like getting people to watch YouTube videos, getting people to go to the website and read articles and stuff like that like are being posted by Canadian Running Magazine, even like watching this podcast, right? Like so getting as many people to kind of follow the account and follow what's happening in Canadian track and field and also our league obviously is really important to us. And then from like a team perspective, getting these guys and girls to like kind of make a team, like form a team. The Bears already kind of, like, I was surprised they did it like day one, basically. Like they all know each other. They've never met each other. Like they've all like when I say like they all know each other, like they now know each other now because like
Right.
they were talking constantly, asking questions about like their events and like people from all across Canada coming even to this small meet, right? Like even to Montreal, there's only 12 athletes, I think, from the CTFL. So like very small meet compared to like next week where we're going to go to London and there's like 65 athletes that are supposed to be in attendance. So that's like half the CTFL, whereas this one's like a 12th. So
Dang. Yeah. So
um,
that's a major jump,
yeah,
from one meet to the second meet already. That's gonna be dope. That is gonna be dope. So, but one more question about the teams.
mm-hmm.
The CTFL has meets, and you get extra points for going to these CTFL meets, right?
Yeah,
And this first meet was one that you partnered with another local meet.
yeah.
Get your athletes into the meet and bring awareness for that track and field meet.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plans for the teams moving forward? Like if I'm a Bears athlete right now, and like post CTFL season, what are we doing? Like, how is that gonna work?
Yeah, so like you mean like for next season and stuff, I guess, or like are
Next
you
like
talking about?
next off season, preseason, next season, like if I'm an athlete already on the team, how are things moving forward for me? I guess that's a hard question to ask because it's like, what is it? What's gonna keep me on the team? How's the team rewarding me?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
whole
So like right now we have like obviously like the cash incentives for like the athletes or like the prize funds, and then but like once the season's kind of done, like you go back to like normal life, I guess, and you continue to train, and it's just like it's like your off season. Like most guys go to like DeMar DeRozan's in Cancun right now. You know what I mean? Like they kind of do what they want and they train, and it's like then they can come back next year because all the athletes that are drafted this year are now able to come back next year. Pending like they fulfill all the requirements this year, there was no problems like injuries are fine. But like if you didn't go to the championship because like you want to go on vacation instead, then there's like kind of a problem. But like other than most athletes, they're gonna come, they're gonna compete, they're gonna have fun, they're gonna meet a bunch of whole new people, really obviously elite athletes that we have. And then they're going to be able to go back to their daily lives and continue to train just as they normally would. Next season, we pick up the same thing. So, except this time they don't need to be drafted. So they're actually already in their teams next year. There's going to be a trade period, and that's why we had like partial GM positions. I think I talked a little bit about last time, but like fans can now control how these teams are formed. So like the Bears, if they're winning it all, that's the GMs. I had nothing to do with it. So next year again, if the Bears make a bad trade this year and they trade Sarah Mitten for somebody else, you know what I mean? Like when she blows up again, then huge problem for the Bears. So that's the only change, and they'll be back next year and be ready to compete, hopefully. And if they don't want to, that's also completely okay. We'll ask them at the end of the season if they're wanting to go back, and then we'll ask them again before kind of we open registration to other people. So that's like the progress, and then we can continue to kind of build our platform, posting videos throughout the year and tagging them, and they post content of them training and stuff, and we can post to our page so they get more traction and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's dope. So you've basically created, track clubs and giving a lot of these runners a chance to, compete, be a part of a team. Like you said, some of them are actually a couple years post college, and so now they're actually back on the team. They have a family, they have people to check in with, people that care about them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them actually competing because being an athlete, you're kind of separated from the world. You're doing this, especially like track and field. You're doing this. It's like an extreme sport. You can't
Yeah.
really be going out partying, drinking, smoking, staying up late, or you can't really have a strenuous work day. Like all of that takes a toll on your body, your mind, your energy. But you still need to be able to hit the track. So those lifestyles don't go together. So it's actually dope that you've actually been able to create these teams,
Mm-hmm.
give these an opportunity to be a part of a team, a community, a family, and help their career continue to grow. So Wow, I'm really impressed with that. That's really dope to see. But from creating the CTFL to launching the CTFL with the draft, posting all the information online, accepting the athletes, to now the first professional CTFL meet. Mm-hmm. How have you seen it evolve? Like, what are you thinking about the evolution of the CTFL so far?
Yeah, like I think it's done probably in some ways it's underperformed, and in some ways it's like well overperformed. Like obviously like just trying to get as much traction and followers and fans and as much as possible. We're providing free content, so that regard I think that's on me, and I need to do better on that kind of aspect. In terms of like the team cohesion, like that was like honestly made it all worth it. Like all this, like I do this basically for free. Like I'm not taking any money, so like I'm losing money. So, but to see,
you're not losing money, investing money.
Right at this point, we're in the red. But you know what I mean? Like, but it's nice to see the team cohesion, like to provide a safe kind of space for these athletes to like compete and have fun. Really, like it is fun. Like my best years were obviously like with my team, like at the Ottawa. So like that was like I was a GG, and it was fun to be part of a team, and like nothing else, right? Like honestly, so much fun to do that, and to provide that to like the athletes and like them to like, respond so well was really heartwarming. So in that regard, it's like completely overperformed like what I was expecting. So it's been great, and like just that in itself, like we're coming back next year, we're doing it again next year, and you know what I mean. So yeah.
So that's dope. I'm excited to hear that you already 1 meet in and you already want to come back next year and do everything all again next year.
Yeah, more money this time, like more money invested, and you know what I mean. Like right, we're gonna make it blow up. Like we're gonna be like quadrupling the budget and like that kind of stuff. So
I love you. Okay, so last question, and since we're talking about next year, what's a big idea, something that you're looking forward to doing next year?
Yeah, so we have, I think like the major projects are in place. Like we're doing the meter by meter series, like the videography series. We can expand episodes through that. So instead of having just 2 episodes, we may have like 3 episodes or 4 episodes. The other big thing is going out to probably the west part of Canada. So going to at least 1 meet out there and having athletes compete out there, bringing those kind of athletes together, and then they can come back for the championship. So that's a big thing for me. And the third big thing is basically doing higher quality media. So if you look at the YouTube videos, they're like pretty good. Like they're pretty standard for your regular everyday kind of track meet kind of thing. Like it's not terrible, but I want it to be like high caliber kind of video content, like a Diamond League. You know what I mean? Like we're probably like 2 categories below like a Diamond League, but they also have like millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of funding. Right. So you get what you pay for.
And years into it, they kind of are exactly like a template of how it should be shot and organized and all of that. So
yeah, like if I could get to that level of media content, damn, like we're good. Like you know what I mean? Like the CTFL will be on like Sportsnet, it'll be on SportsCenter, it'll be on like for any like any sort of like sports page, like it'll be covered. So you know what I mean? Like that's something that we need to be able to get to. So building up to that is probably my major goal. Everything else is set in place. The system works really, really well so far. And we're going to be able to hopefully expand like both aside, like outside of like Ontario and Quebec, and then also potentially having more events. So just adding, like hopefully next year we're going to try and aim for 12 events as opposed to the 8 that are currently offered. So that's another big thing. And then we'll expand the roster sizes from instead of having 2 athletes per team, we'll expand it to 3 athletes per team. And then only the top 8 athletes will make the finals. So you have to hit we'll keep it as like 4 meets that are going to be counted. And by the 3rd meet, basically, like the 4th one will be for the championship. By the 3rd meet, if you're not in the top 8, you're not making the finals. So that means that the top 8 will go on to make the finals. And I think that'll kind of keep it pretty interesting. And it also alleviates for injuries or anything like that. Like if you get injured halfway through the season, that I don't necessarily need to replace you then. It's just like, that's unfortunate. you were injured, like your team might like suffer a little bit, but that's sports. Like that's what happens, right? Your star player goes down, then like you can't replace him.
Yeah.
So
That it's unfortunate for the player, the person that's
yeah,
injured. We don't ever want to see that. But that is,
yeah,
when Jordan was sick, it was like, oh, we can try and get him now. When Kobe was hurt, it was like, oh, we can, we got him now.
yeah,
That is what happens,
yeah.
unfortunately. But that's dope. I'm glad to hear that, you're planning to expand to other areas so you can incorporate more athletes, but also letting more athletes into the league, with the whole goal of pushing the sport of track and field further, paying track and field athletes and giving them a chance to compete and, like push their career,
Yeah.
So that's really dope. Congrats again on this. I'm just happy to see it continue growing. I'm watching all of the content, watching people post their jerseys,
Yeah.
post their reels, their race recaps, and all of that. It's really dope to see these 4 clubs really taking over the track and field world in Canada. So congrats again on that. And I look forward to checking in with you after that second meet.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, Quinn. Have a good day, man.